My name is Jaikishan Didwania. I am currently working as a marketing cloud developer.
My name is Shruti Singh and I am your friendly neighborhood integration expert. So before going ahead with our session, I would like you all to fill a simple form by scanning this QR code. And don't worry, your first party data is in safe hands. So please don't fill garbage values. Use original emails and we'll share the surprise later, okay? So yeah, please fill this form. All right. So from our LinkedIn post and our effective marketing strategies, you all are already aware that this session is going to be about event-driven marketing automation using Slack and MuleSoft. But let's see what our agenda looks like for today. We're going to be discussing integration and its need, then introduction to MuleSoft, then we'll discuss about Slack, then SFMC API. All this looks like a bit technical, right? It doesn't look interesting at all. So why don't we put this agenda aside for a while and do something interesting? Are you up for it? Yes. Okay. So we all love to hear a good story, right? The ability to tell story is the main reason why certain species got extinct and humans are still alive, right? So we'll take you on this journey of Alia's life and what she's up to. Meet Alia. She works in Tomato, a food delivery firm, as a customer relationship representative. And she has good communication skills and excellent customer handling skills. So that makes her a good fit to handle all the issues that she faces in her day-to-day life and to deliver a better customer experience for Tomato. But the question is what she does at Tomato. She provides optimal solution for all the customer related issues. Let me ask you a question. When you order anything online, okay, let's say on a food delivery app, what problems do you guys face generally? Orders delayed, yes. Nice one. Yeah, payment issues. Wrong orders. Okay. So the same thing she solves for Tomato while working as a customer representative. So she provides several optimal solutions. Now we'll discuss what Tomato do. Tomato uses several tools in their business processes, just like Slack for their communication channel, Salesforce and Salesforce Marketing Cloud to handle several marketing activities such as sending emails or like configuring campaigns, etc. So the thing is, they are using from a very long time Salesforce Marketing Cloud for their personalized campaigns. But now they want to shift to a new strategy in which they want to do the same thing what they were doing previously, but in a real-time manner, not in a scheduled manner which they were doing it previously. So they call upon Alia to set up a process in which they can set up a business process to automate certain things. But there is a catch. So Alia, we know from her story, she is not a technical person. So she is having issues in handling all the technical aspects of the things, like navigating into Salesforce Marketing Cloud, like how she will gonna set up these processes and tools. She is having no idea about it. So what she will do? There is a big question in front of Alia, like how to set up a optimized business process to automate certain things that will help Tomato to deliver effective personalized experiences, right? So let's move further in our story and let's see how Alia solved this problem. And to further continue this, I would like to call upon Jay.
Well, thanks Shruti for kickstarting this story for our audience. So before we move ahead, I would like to ask you all a simple question. What is that one thing that you do when you are in trouble or when you are facing some issues to perform a certain task? I will give you 4 options. First one, you Google it or you search about it, but it is not necessary that you are going to find your answers there. Option 2, you crib about it and you just blame your bad luck. Option C, that you seek help from your friend or your colleague, maybe your senior, who has more experience than you. And option D is you just procrastinate, which is something we should never do, right? So, what will be the answer for this question? No, you shouldn't. Okay. Yep. So the optimal answer for this, you should always seek help from someone who is more experienced than you. Okay. So same is the case with Alia. She reached out to one of her friend, and mind it, she is Alia but not Bhatt. Okay. So it is not necessary she is going to Ranbir. I'm just kidding. So she reached out to Ranbir and she called him and explained all the challenges that she is facing in her current role as a customer relationship manager and the complexities to perform the task because they are related to SFMC. It would take time for her to grasp SFMC because she is a non-technical person, right? So to her delight, Ranbir proposed a solution to Alia within a flick of second and said, why don't we automate this entire process? Alia was happy because she got an answer. But she was curious too because, and she asked Ranbir, like, how can we automate this process when our whole customer data is in Salesforce CRM and all the marketing activities that we perform happens via Salesforce Marketing Cloud. As Ranbir was a tech enthusiast and is a tech enthusiast person, so showing confidence in his skills, he just promptly answered, we can simply integrate these platforms because here they are using multiple platforms, okay. So he just said, why don't we integrate these platforms? Ranbir said integrate. Do you guys know like basically and technically what integration is? Connecting different system applications, softwares, right? Okay, so let me explain this in a simpler term to you. Let's say you have a smartphone and you have a computer and you have a smart home devices. And these three devices works fine on its own. But wouldn't it be amazing if these devices could all communicate and work together seamlessly? It would be, right? So system integration here ensures that your smartphone, your computer and your smart home devices can talk to each other and work together. It's all about like connecting different applications so that they can work as one big and collaborated team. In business scenarios, we can say like system integration is really crucial. It is crucial because businesses uses a lot of different systems to perform their various tasks, right? So here system integration ensures or allows these systems to communicate to each other, hence like making businesses operate more efficiently. So in a nutshell, what we can say about system integration is it is like a harmonious orchestra where all the instruments play together that are your systems to make a beautiful music, right? So whenever you are going to hear about system integration, you will also hear about point-to-point integration as well as middlewares. Okay. So what is point-to-point integration? Let's take an example that I think we all have experienced somewhere in our past, maybe in our childhood. We all used to have a TV and we all used to have a separate DVD player, right? So for that TV we used to had a separate remote control, and for that DVD player also we used to had a separate remote control. So whenever we used to want to watch a movie, what we used to do? Switch the input from TV to DVD, then play the movie whatever we want to watch, and if we want to control the volume, then we had to use a TV remote. Here we are using multiple remotes to control a single functionality. Okay, so now you have a magical remote with which you can switch the input, you can control all the DVD player functionalities, and you can turn the volume up and down, right? So here that remote, that magical remote is acting as a bridge between the TV and DVD player so that you can operate it seamlessly. So in technical world, technically think about these as different devices, different system devices or maybe software. So basically point-to-point integration is like connecting different devices so that they can work together. And point-to-point integration is actually set up to perform a certain functionality. That is the benefit of point-to-point integration, that it is simple, it is used for simple functionalities, right? But it comes with a lot of drawbacks also. To understand these drawbacks, I'm going to do some mathematics here, which I think most of you don't like. How many like mathematics? It is tricky, but it is interesting so that you will know what are the drawbacks of point-to-point integration, okay? Let's say you have two systems, system A and system B. Now you want these systems to be connected. So how many point-to-point integrations will be established here? Okay, good. Now say I increased the system, now I have one more system. System C, how many integrations do I need? 3. Good. Now let's say we have one more system, that is system D. How many point-to-point integrations will be needed here? Okay. What if I have one more system? I have system E. How many point-to-point integrations I will need? So it is hard to calculate the number of point-to-point integration when the landscape of system is scaling, right? So in order to find the answer, there is a mathematical formula, because we are using combinations here, right? Combinations of two different systems. So we can easily use this formula, which is n factorial divided by 2 factorial multiplied by n minus 2 factorial. Now you can easily calculate how many point-to-point integrations you will need. Okay, let's take 10. So it will give me the answer. So the answer here will be 45 point-to-point integration. Isn't it too tedious or too hectic? Right? It's complex. It's very complex if you want to establish 45 point-to-point integrations, right? So it also depicts the complexity of point-to-point integration, that as you scale the systems, the point-to-point integration will get complex. Now assume I want to remove this system. Now I will have to remove 3 more point-to-point integrations to get it back to 3. So it says that it is also hard to manage. To overcome these drawbacks, we have middlewares. Okay. Now let's take an example. Let's say we have Bhavani here. Okay. So Bhavani wants to invite his friends to a party. Instead of calling his friends to the party, what he does, he created a group chat of his friends, where he will just simply put a message and all of his friends will see. So technically think of it like that. Bhavani is a different system, and each of his friends are also different systems, and think of that group chat as the middleware, which is facilitating communication between Bhavani and all of his systems. Make sense? So that is what middlewares are, and I think this is all Alia should know about integration and types of integration, because as being a non-technical person, she will get more confused. So let's tell her more about why integration is needed. Why is integration needed in the IT world? There are many aspects to tell you, like why is integration needed, but let's discuss about these 4, which is data synchronization, unified view of information, cost reduction, and faster decision making. So think of information as water flowing through the systems. Okay. So integration ensures that all the systems are connected and information is flowing seamlessly, which is preventing the bottlenecks also, so that you get a feel of data synchronization, that your systems are connected, right? Now next we have unified information. To understand this, picture a dashboard of your car which shows you real-time information of all the devices that you have in your car, right? So integration also provides you a way so that you can connect to different systems and you can get a unified information, unified view of information basically, so that businesses can make informed decision based upon information from different systems. Next we have cost reduction. So businesses use system integration to avoid duplication of efforts. If we are avoiding duplication of efforts, so ultimately it will cut the cost, okay? The cost reduction will be there. Next, we have faster decision making. We took the example of remote control, right? The magical remote. So think of integration as like the magical remote. It will control everything. So if all the things are controlled by a single thing, obviously the decision making will become faster and efficient. So that was all about integrations. Why is integration needed? So now let's talk about one of the middlewares which I personally call as majestic middleware, MuleSoft, which is also proposed by Ranbir in his solution that he showed to Alia. So to make you know more about MuleSoft, I would like to call upon Shruti.
Okay, before deep diving into MuleSoft, can anyone explain what MuleSoft is if they know it already?
So, MuleSoft is a middleware tool we are using nowadays for the integration, and it's just a simplified technology we can say which connects to the source and the target and simplifies our integration nowadays.
Okay, so let's take an example. Suppose you are going into a restaurant and you want to order something. What you will do? You will call waiter or a server. You place your order. You have your meal and then you will pay and then leave. You don't directly go to the chef, right? Like make this. So you don't have to care about the background activities happening inside a restaurant like stock management, like placement of dishes, what is the full day menu or how things are getting prepared. So in a similar way, MuleSoft also help us to avoid and reduce all these complexities for us and provides a one single cloud platform which provides all the capabilities that we need to implement any type of integration solution. And in our case, why Ranbir chose MuleSoft as a middleware? Because MuleSoft is having all the capabilities and tools required to automate anything and everything. So let's see what are those capabilities. In a single platform, we can design our API, we can build our API, we can deploy it either on on-prem or cloud hub, which is cloud, and then we can also reuse them, we can assetize them and reuse them later. So all these different things, which is very complex to achieve, but MuleSoft somehow delivers it only one single platform and not other tools in the market right now offers that. And how it does is, it is having various connectors to do so. MuleSoft provide like Salesforce connector, Marketing Cloud connector, Slack, like they have it all, like Azure, AWS, you name it, they are having it. So what connectors do, they provides us ability to connect with any external system in a very quick way. You don't have to write a code, you don't have to worry about how the integrations are made. You just have to provide simple configurations like client ID and client secret, things like that, your tokens, right? API-led connectivity. In previous slides, Jay already discussed about point-to-point integration and the problems that we have. So with point-to-point integration, when we increase the number of systems, the complexity increases and the implementation is hard to maintain. It is hard to maintain such a code, right, with increasing number of systems. So what MuleSoft provides is a API-led connectivity approach which help us to reduce the complexity. So we'll see this by an example. Okay, so we know that in point-to-point, every other system is connected with every other system. But in API-led connectivity approach, it handles all the communication in a bus-like structure, and this bus-like structure is divided into 3 different layers. First one is system, and then process, and then experience. So how it removes the complexity? We are having this system layer. This system layer only deals with the systems that we want to use for data purposes, but the process and experience API won't have to worry about all these things. let's suppose we want to implement any business logic or transformation logic, then this thing will handle by the process API, and then experience API and system API won't have to worry about how these things are handled. So for each and every purpose, we are having different layers to do so. So it reduces complexity that we have here, and to do so we are having certain tools for it. First one is Anypoint platform. So as we know, MuleSoft is having all the capabilities for any integration solution, and Anypoint platform is the way to go. This is the cloud platform which provides all the tools we need to do that. And then we have Anypoint Studio, which is a IDE which they provide, in which we can develop our solution. They have some other IDE also, like Anypoint Code Builder, which they like launched last year only. It is a new thing. We haven't explored it yet, but it is also a very nice tool. Now, as we know, in our current implementation, we are dealing with Slack, MuleSoft and Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So for Slack, Jay will explain it further.
All right. To explain Slack, first of all, tell me how many of us uses Slack on day-to-day routine or daily basis? We all do, right?
Everyone.
Most of us do. So we know what are the basic functionality or basic features that Slack provides, right? So what is Slack basically? It is a collaborative communication tool that is used by teams in workplaces for projects or internal communication, etc. Right? So let's see what are the key features of Slack. Okay. So some key features of Slack are channels, messaging, file sharing, integration, and search. So if you use Slack, so you must be a part of some channel, right? So basically users can create channels for some specific or some dedicated project. It can be public, it can be private, and you can communicate one-on-one, that is you can directly message to your peer. So we know what is public channel, we know what is private channel, and we know what is direct communication in Slack also. So let's talk about integration that Slack provides. So while using Slack, have you noticed something like some external tool is integrated, or you are getting some notifications from an external tool? If you want to tell me, like, please go ahead.
We can integrate Google Calendar.
Yes, we can integrate many tools. Outlook, Jira. Jira is the correct example. So let's say you have assigned a ticket and your Slack is integrated with the Jira, so you will get a notification on the Slack itself so that you don't miss it, right? So this way Slack provides various ways of integration. Next we have security. So Slack do not compromise with security. It has multiple ways to provide security. First, Slack provides security via two-factor authentication, or you can say multi-factor authentication, which is a additional layer above your passwords. And Slack also employs encryption, that is it secures your data which is in transit and data that is in your Slack's infrastructure, so to make it more secure. Slack also adhere to some compliances such as like GDPR and HIPAA. So that was a brief about Slack. Now we are going to cover the third tool that was proposed by Ranbir to Alia while providing her the solution, and that was Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So to elaborate you more on Salesforce Marketing Cloud, Shruti will give you more insights.
So from our story, we already know that Tomato uses Marketing Cloud for various marketing activities and campaigns. We know that Salesforce Marketing Cloud is not built on core Salesforce platform. So how it will bring the data into it? For that, it uses several connectors and APIs for it. Actually, in our current implementation, we are using these three capabilities provided by Marketing Cloud, which is Journey Builder to help us implementing our campaigns, and then we have content builders which we use to build code blocks for personalized email blocks, and then we have Marketing Cloud Connect. So the thing with Marketing Cloud Connect is when we want to bring data from Salesforce CRM into Marketing Cloud or vice versa, then we can use Marketing Cloud Connect. But the thing is, it doesn't support external system. So then how we gonna bring the data into Salesforce Marketing Cloud from external system? For that, SFMC provides certain APIs. So these APIs help us to bring all the external data into Marketing Cloud and automate our marketing workflows. And there are two different types of APIs provided by Marketing Cloud. These are REST APIs and SOAP APIs. So the REST APIs in Marketing Cloud are synchronous in nature, and they uses the same authentication that we know. They use the same thing, like they uses JSON for all the request and response payloads. They use HTTP protocol, and in Marketing Cloud using REST API we can do things like setting up SMSs, push notification, data events. Like we can also explore the audit that SFMC provide, and then we can also set interactions and asset. When we talk about Salesforce Marketing Cloud SOAP APIs, so SOAP APIs uses envelopes to pass the information, and we can use these SOAP APIs for all the email related things like tracking, subscribers to maintain the list, and also in automation and in triggered sends. Now we are done with the tools, right? But Alia is still confused because we have explained all the tools, but she is still not clear like how these tools we are gonna use in our implementation, in our final automation, how these tools are involved. So she is asking Ranbir like, can you please explain me further? So Ranbir suggested that we can use event-driven automation to do so. So you guys remember our agenda that we scrapped at the beginning? So let's bring that back up. Now the main agenda we will discuss is, we'll discuss it now after so many slides and so much of interaction, which is event-driven automation. So Jay will explain what is event-driven automation.
To understand event-driven automation, focus on the term itself. It says event-driven automation, and now backtrack it. It says automation which is driven by events, right? Automations which is driven by events. So imagine a world where things happen precisely when they should, not a movement sooner or later. That is the power of event-driven automation. To understand event-driven automation, focus on three components of event-driven automation, which are events, event handlers, and workflows. To understand this, let's take an example. Let's say we have a temperature sensor here. Okay. So this temperature sensor will detect the sudden rise in the temperature. So that becomes the event. So what is event? Event is like a signal which indicates that something noteworthy has happened. Just like here, the temperature sensor detected the rise in temperature. So it is like a piece of information which can prompt an action, but it is not the action, right? So event we have discussed, like it is a piece of information which can prompt the action. Now what actions could it be, right? We don't know. So that will be decided by event handler. Event handler is like the brain behind the operation. It will decide what should happen next. So in this case, if that temperature sensor detects the rise in temperature, what could be the possible actions? It can raise an alarm. It can send a notification to the user. So now take this notification. A user will get the notification whenever a sudden rise will be there in temperature. So how that will happen? How that notification will be sent to the user? That becomes a part of your workflows. So workflows is basically your step-by-step sequence of action that will take place whenever an event will occur. So that was all about event-driven automation, and we have discussed integrations, we have discussed all the tools that was proposed by Ranbir to Alia in his solution. We have discussed what is event-driven automation. Now let's have a look into what he finally designed for Alia so that she can do her work effortlessly, right? So to elaborate more on the main flow, Shruti will come on the stage and tell you more about it.
So this is the main flow which Ranbir proposed to Alia at last after explaining all the tools which are involved in the process. But now we'll see like how our workflow looks like. So as Jay very well explained, event-driven automation and its component like event handler and workflows. So we'll break down this same flow into three different parts: event, event handler, and workflow. So in our case, the event will be triggered by our customer relationship manager. Here in our case, she is Alia. So she will enter a Slack command. So Slack will act as an event. Event will be triggered by Slack, and then after that, it will post a request. It will post a request to MuleSoft, and here the MuleSoft will act as an event handler. So it will act as a brain behind our whole solution. It will decide what to do with that certain payload. Let's suppose Alia provides a Slack command with a case number. So what MuleSoft will do? MuleSoft will listen this payload. It will fetch the case number from that payload, and then it checks in the CRM what if this case already present in CRM or not. If it is present, then it will fetch the related contact data from it and process it further. And if it does not, then it will send back the error to Slack. So MuleSoft will be having its own error handling capabilities. Let's suppose our case exists. Then what it will do? It will pass on that payload to Salesforce Marketing Cloud, and then the Salesforce Marketing Cloud will further process it for like its campaigns and sending email notification. After all this process, Salesforce Marketing Cloud sends back an acknowledgement that yes, customer received an email and everything works fine. But let's suppose we get an error. Then in that case, our process will throw an error back to Slack that no, our process is not working fine and email is not triggered. So yeah, this is the main flow which Ranbir proposed to Alia, and this is the solution. This is the final solution that will help Alia to solve her problem and provide customers a better experience in a real-time way. We'll proceed with the demo, and Jay will give us a brief demo about the same thing which we
Okay, so
saw in
everyone be
this
prepared. Now
flow.
it is the demo time. So have a look onto the screen and I will show you how it is actually happen in real time. Okay. Okay. So this is our Slack application that we have created. In this we have a marketing bot where Alia can write down the / command, which is basically will act as an event and will trigger the further actions. Okay. Or she can directly write it into some random chats, because we have configured it in way like if she wants to trigger it from a chat, then she can do that also. To configure the / command, what you have to do is, first you will have to create the Slack command here in this option. So if you go to the Slack API, you will see this option / command. You just have to create a / command, but before this you will have to subscribe the events. So basically what happens here is, this event will send a test message, or you can say test payload, to your application which is deployed into the Cloud Hub, and it requires a certain response back. If that happens, that means your connection has set up. Okay. So in our case, this is, you can see TechDo's, this is our domain where our application is hosted whatever we created in MuleSoft, and this is the endpoint. So this is fixed and it will only send the payload to this particular endpoint, and it requires a response, which is basically something like challenge and value to it. Okay. If it gets that payload, it is verified, else it is not. Once you are subscribed, all you have to do is you have to create a bot user event so that you can use your / command. Once you add it, all you have to do is go to your / command and configure it. You can put the request URL, like you can specify where you want to send the request. Okay. So here we have this request URL which is send bulk mail, and similarly we have this / command which is send mail to, what Alia is basically going to use now, right? She wants to send mail to a particular user who is having some troubles. So in this, what will happen? She will have to pass a case number with it. So whenever Alia will come to this bot, she just have to write this command send mail to and the case number, and whatever the case number is, I will tell you how it happens actually. So let's say the case number is this, a random case number, okay. So whenever I will enter, it will trigger the MuleSoft flow. I'm going to show you the MuleSoft flow in our Anypoint Studio, but in real time it is deployed in Cloud Hub, okay. So this is our MuleSoft flow that we have designed. It will receive the request that for this endpoint, particular endpoint. If you have noticed, this endpoint was there in my slash command, right. After the deployed URL, deployed application URL, I have this particular endpoint which will receive the request. Once it receives the request, we are fetching the case number from payload. So you see I have passed this random number here. So it will act like a case number to Alia, right. So we are fetching this case number, and based on this case number, what we are doing, we are fetching the case ID from Salesforce CRM, as well as we are fetching the related contact from the CRM, so that we can make a payload to trigger the journey, because the SFMC APIs requires payload, right. It requires some body because you are actually inserting a contact into your marketing cloud. So once we get the data, what we are doing the transformation. So this is the payload that you require to insert a contact into the journey, okay. So that journey will send the email to that particular user. Here you can see this API event, and so a long string. This is the event definition key of my journey. Let me show you that. This is my journey which is activated, and this is my event definition key. So whenever that flow will work, it will hit this journey with the payload that I am passing. Okay. Once that payload has been made, we have got the access token, because we are in the end using HTTPS request, the REST APIs, right, and it requires authorization code. So we have to pass authorization code as well with the request. So we are passing authorization code, and at last we are triggering the journey to our Marketing Cloud REST API with the payload. So when the payload will enter into this journey, an email will be sent in real time. Now let's take someone from you as the user who is facing problem and trigger an email right now. Sure. Okay, let's trigger it to Akashdeep, right. So this is Akashdeep's contact, and we have a case related to Akashdeep. So let's take this case number and pass it in the slash command that we have in Slack. So once I hit the slash command, see, I got the message like email has been initiated. So event has occurred and I got the response. Now in some time, Akashdeep, you will receive an email. So this is the case number related to my contact. Now what I will do, I will go to the Slack application, I will enter the same command, and I will paste the case number. So once I hit it, you can see the workflow is working fine, email has been initiated, and in some time I will receive the email on my Gmail. Let's wait for it. And meanwhile, I can show you how it looks like when your contact has entered into the journey, right? Let's refresh this. So see, when you click on view event result, you will see two contacts entered into the journey. One was Akashdeep and one was me, and two contacts were accepted. So I might have received the email right now. Sorry. Okay, let me do one thing. Let's trigger the email for all. Let's see who
Yeah,
gets
that's
it
a good
and who
idea.
doesn't get it. Yeah, let's see who are the lucky ones. For that, we have a different command. We have this command send bulk mail, and I'll say all. Now let me know who are the lucky ones here.
Priyanka got it.
So see, 18 contacts were evaluated. So that was the whole demo that we have prepared considering the pain points that Alia was facing. Now, what are the goals that were achieved by this? Let's talk on that. So we have achieved these certain goals, like we have managed the personalized email campaigns. We are sending personalized emails to all the customers who are facing an issue with our app, like while ordering the food and all. We have simplified the process for Alia. Being a non-technical person, she can now easily send the personalized emails, and now we have enhanced the customer experience as well. So that was all from this session, and I hope you liked it. Thank you everyone.